Live from Drzonków, this is Modern Pentathlon Under 24 Junior European Championships. My name is Wojciech and we are ready to start the horse riding event, the third event of today's competition of women's final of the championships. After two events, which are swimming and fencing, the leader is the Czech Karolina Kszenkova with 522 points, the winner of the fencing bonus round. However, the best athlete in the overall fencing was Lea Egloff, the Swiss, who is holding the third place, separated from Kszenkova by Ilka Özüksel. The Turkish athlete is losing just 1 point to the Czech, while Egloff has 7 points of loss to Kszenkova, which means the three athletes holding now the medal positions are within one knockdown here on the parkour, which we can see here on the screen. We've got 10 obstacles with one double obstacle. That's the indoor parkour of horse riding held during the Under 24 European Championships here in Drzonków. And we are starting with Anna Yurt from Switzerland, last year's silver medalist in this competition, behind Aurelia Tamasowskaite, whom we do not see anymore in the Under 24 competition. Anna Yurt is not, in fact, the last one after the two events. The last two places, which are her compatriot Lara Ebi from Switzerland and the Lithuanian Patricia Gudlevičiūtė, they both withdrew from the horse riding, with Gudlevičiūtė withdrawing even before the start. She's the youngest athlete here in the field, born in 2004, so in fact she's still a B athlete. Still, she's the Youth A and Junior National Championships bronze medalist, 6th in the open category, which in fact is the senior category. But now we can see Anna Yurt on the parkour, already the double obstacle, which is number 6 behind her. She had a knockdown on the second obstacle. This is the obstacle which makes the biggest problems, according to yesterday's horse riding test. And we've got the 8th obstacle cleared down. There's a very long straight of something about 6 foulées before the 9th, so there's a place to correct the line of jump. And we've got the time of 1 minute 11, which is 8 seconds below the time limit. The time limit is 1 minute 19 seconds. And with one knockdown, she has 293 points. And of course, she's leading now as she was the only athlete to start in the horse riding. The maximum points that can be won in the horse riding is 300. So one knockdown is 7 points deducted from that value. Another mistakes like the refusal or circle or any run out, this is 10 points of deduction from that base value, and every second above the time limit is 1 point. So with one knockdown, Anna Yurt gets 7 penalty points, which is 293 for the horse riding, and with 693 she's now the leader, but there is still 17 athletes to go, and first of the 17 is the Czech Kristina Trojanova riding Barbosa. You can see now that dark color horse being under Kristina Trojanova. The first obstacle is already cleared, and now we will see the second one, which is, as I said, the most problematic one for the athletes, and that's also the case for Kristina Trojanova. So I think that was quite a hard preparation of the jump to the third obstacle. Now the fourth obstacle, as you might have noticed during the ride of Anna Yurt, it is the obstacle that is jumped twice. It's as well the fourth obstacle and the final 10th obstacle. After the 5, we've got the double obstacle at number 6, and you can see that it's a very hard turn on the diagonal from the landing after the 5th obstacle, so it's also the place where the athletes needs to be very careful on this parkour. That seems to be the easiest part, that's line of 8 and 9. And once more we are preparing to that blue obstacle, to that blue axer with number 10 in the second part, and in the first part we've got Trianova with time 1 minute 15 seconds, one obstacle knocked down, which was as well as in the case of Anna Yurt number 2. So as well she has 293 points for the horse riding, and she's of course taking the lead with 14 points of advantage over the Swiss athlete. And in a while on the parkour we shall see the first athlete of the host country. This is Wiktoria Wierzba, the eldest of the Polish girls starting today in Drzonków, and that's her final year in the junior category, in the meaning of the IPM age categories, which is under 22, instead of what we see now at this championships under 24. So I think we will see Wiktoria in the next 2 years also here in Drzonków during the European under 24 European Championships held for the 4th time this year. Here in Drzonków, in one of the best facilities for modern pentathlon in the world. And we can see Wiktoria on the horse Fala. Wierzba is the 2019 Senior National Championships bronze medalist. She won that medal mostly thanks to her clear ride during that championship, which is not always, in fact that's very rare case for Wiktoria Wierzba, known for not a very good horse riding. As we can see, she has already struggled a little bit with the pace on the first obstacle as well as the second, but that is the one which causes me most problems, and she's doing the same mistakes. She's coming too close to the obstacle before the jumps. But still, just one mistake so far on this obstacle, which makes the big problems. Oh, and very hard cut for the 5, which seems to be the biggest mistake. What her coach was warning, but she made the best jump out of that. So, well, Wiktoria is the athlete who really surprises almost every time when she rides the horse, and I think this is the day where she surprises us with quite a good result. 9. Oh, that was ready for another knockdown, but she stays with the clear of that, and we've got 293 and the final. Whatever happened there, it was already behind the finish line, so I think that it's just 293, 1 minute 5 seconds, so the fastest times, which is not always the best. In fact, it's not the tiebreaker rule of being the fastest, but the closest to the time limit. So so far, according to the results, we've got all 3 athletes who have ridden so far with 293, and with Wierzba having the fastest time, she is classified 3rd in this horse riding event, which so far doesn't have any meanings, as we have right now Wierzba leading ahead of Trianova by 7 seconds of advantage. She came on the parkour after swimming and fencing, and we've got now Daria Niedziałkowska on horse Aravalvaro, This is the horse which is supposed to be the easiest one for the athletes today. The other athletes coming in the second round today is the Turkish Sidal Aslan, and these two girls are considered the biggest, having the biggest luck today with the horse drawing. But we've got also Daria Niedziałkowska on that horse, and she's one of only two athletes who, during this year's national championships held in September, at the beginning of September here in Drzonków, although not on this riding hole, but on the open parkour, the big parkour you probably know from many other events held here. She was one of the two athletes having the clear ride. And the other rider was Marta Kobecka, who's an athlete who is not participating here, more experienced athlete. And it was Kobecka who rode Aravalvaro then. So we've got right now the duo which should get the first 300 during our day, which might become reality in a while, as we didn't see the knockdown on the second obstacle, but we've got it on the 9. I said that it was one of the easiest ones because of the long straight ahead of it. So far 293 points, 1 minute 10 seconds of the time, which means no time penalties. So as I said, 293. She was very close to the clear ride, but we will have to wait for that a little bit longer. With Niedziałkowska also having one obstacle knocked down. She's of course leading the competition so far, the overall classification, with 5 points ahead of her teammate Wiktoria Wierzba. Probably that might change during the laser run, the final event of today's competition, which we will see later today. Wiktoria Wierzba is a well-known good laser runner, so she's gaining a few places probably today in this the final event of combined running and laser shooting. And we are now waiting for the next athlete, which will be another Lithuanian. I mean, we didn't see Patricia Gudlevičiūtė, who did not start in the horse riding, as she's quite a young athlete. Ginetita is just 1 year older, and Ginetita has made a great result on the bonus round, winning 4 bouts, including the bout ahead, with those who we saw. So with Gudlevičiūtė, Wierzba, Niedziałkowska and Anna Jurt, as well as Kristina Trojanova. So the 4 athletes we saw, or we are supposed to see, were already beaten by Ginetita in the fencing bonus round. And she has only 1 point of advantage over Niedziałkowska before the horse riding event, so after swimming and fencing. And now she's coming to the parkour on horse Lilimpel, which is the youngest horse in the field of horses the organizers prepared for these championships. Is just the 7-year-old gelding, and we will see how well will he do during today's competition. The other athlete who will ride it will be Anastasia Hyzhova from Ukraine, so probably Hyzhova is now watching carefully the ride of Medea Ginetita, who has managed to make a clear jump on that problematic number 2 obstacle. Jump number 4 with a very high jump, and now this is quite an important thing for that preparation of jumping to the number 5 to go very widely on the outside, although as we saw Wiktoria Wierzba made it very much on the inside and also made it clear. No knockdown so far by Medea Ginetita from Lithuania, but as we saw with on the example of Daria Niedziałkowska, that might shouldn't be the problem, and we've got the fall, which is minus 10 points. But it seems that she's okay with that. She's going back to the saddle. She made that jump, but totally lost the balance of the body on the horse and fell off the saddle, fell off the horse back, and she'll probably lose some time penalties. And there is the first refusal on the 10th obstacle. So, well, I said too early that she was riding well. We saw the problem on the number 9. She has the 2 refusals, but she didn't cross the finish line. Now the coaches are saying her, but it seems she was third refusal, or what is the results? And now she decided to make it. So we have 3 refusals on the final obstacles, 1 fall after the 9th, so this is minus 40 points and 38 time penalties points, 222 points by Jinei Tite in the final of the riding events with me. She has 662 points, falling now to the last place among those who competed in the horse riding. As we saw, the 3 refusals on the final obstacle, but that third thing was a deciding one, as if that third try on the final obstacle would be jumped, she would have gotten eliminated, as there shouldn't have been 3 attempts to jump one obstacle. The last one was simply as the refusal, as it was counted with just minus 10, but the successive third attempt would have been the elimination. So luckily she didn't jump it, and we've got another athlete now on the parkour. It's Katerina Borchukova from Ukraine on horse Vulkan, with a knockdown on the obstacle number 2. On the third she clips the rail, but the rail stays on the obstacles, and she's now preparing for the next jump. You can see very characteristical red jacket, red riding jacket of Borchukova. We also saw her with the very light red socks during the fencing, so it seems it's her favorite color, and well, maybe it brings her quite a luck, because she's doing quite well in that in this event. She's now preparing to that straight of 8 and 9 obstacles, and she cleared the 9th, which was problematic for the last 2 riders, but now we can see her preparing for the final jump, and she made it with the knee and inside the time limit, so just 1 knockdown on that obstacle number 2, but white-purple light obstacle, which caused, as I said, problems during yesterday's horse riding test, where the horses were presented by the local athletes, equestrian athletes, as the club in Drzonków also has the equestrian section, including the very well eventing athletes, the national team athletes of Michał Knap, who was the European Championship participant in 2017 in Szczecin in eventing, when it was held here in Poland, and his younger sister Victoria, who's also coming into the national team with quite a good results in this a little bit strange but very successful season in eventing for the Polish team, preparing to start at the Olympic Games in Tokyo in the team classification for the first time since quite a long time. But coming back to the modern pentathlon, we've got Anna Rubiczkova from Czech Republic on horse Cardozo, also very experienced and very well-known horse here in the Drzonków. We can see now Rubiczkova coping with the obstacle number 2, with a little bit of struggling to prepare the jump, but in the end she made the final preparation well, and after 3 and now after 4 jumps she is still with the, without the knockdown, with aiming for the maximum result of 300 points, which we haven't seen so far, and also the double obstacle made clear without big problems. Now flips the rail and stays on the obstacle number 7. Now number 8 is quite well, and that is an easy one to prepare, and she made it clear. And now the final jump, number 10, which was also number 4. And with 1 minute 5 seconds, she's the first rider to have the maximum point of 300 points, giving her quite a strong link ahead of the other athletes which we saw so far. Katerina Drzonkowa, Dariana Ciałkowska, Wiktoria Wierzba, Kristina Trojanowa, they are all quite far behind Anna Rubiczkova. And the next one on the parkour will be Michalina Wierzba, the younger of the sister duo of Wierzba, girls from the Starogard Gdański, now representing the club of capital of Warsaw, the military club of Legia, the club very well known in the history of Polish modern pentathlon, for athletes, both male and female athletes, multiple medalists of European and World Championships, and now we can see her trying to see how the parkour is working. Before the event, she was remembering the course by heart, and that's what all the athletes have to do. And we see that she's checking this once more. We've got the salute here at the jury stands, and Michalina Wierzba on horse Maximus, very well known also horse here in Drzonków, experienced horse, although also one of the youngest, just 10-year-old, grey gelding. It's quite an easy one to ride, just needs to be very calm, not very dynamic. And we've got Michalina Wierzba on him. She was very happy to draw that horse, and she manages to clear that problematic second obstacle, as well as the third one. Now that oxer, which is jumped twice during today's parkour. Quite a slow pace, but preparing for the number 5 with the knockdown, the first knockdown today on that obstacle, but managed to recover on that double obstacle, number 6, and number 7 also with an easy one. I think that was what has fallen was the rebuild of number 5. We see the referee struggling with this rail, but Michalina is not struggling with the rest of the parkour, and within the time limit, well, the 1 minute 19 seems to be quite a lot for athletes. No knockdown so far, and we've got it also clear on the first 4 obstacles. Now that 5th one, which requires a good preparation, and she manages to do that in a better way than we saw earlier on the previous rider, which results in no knockdown, and so far she's aiming for that clear ride. So far as we saw only one clear ride, 1 300 by Anna Rubiczkova, the current leader. But of course we've got still a few athletes to go. Irina Bojczyk is now finishing, and only one obstacle left. She's making a good gallop to that 1 minute 3 seconds. That seems to be the fastest time of today. Of course it means 300 points. With 768 points, she's 15 points ahead of Rubiczkova and Wierzba before the final event of the laser run. We finished the first round of the horse riding, as we have only 10 horses preparing starting today, and only 9 of them we will see in the second round. We saw, of course, only 9 arise because Lara Abbey decided not to start in the horse riding, so we haven't seen the mare Dag Diamond, who was to start only once. But right now we are preparing for the second round with only 9 athletes, which will be in the reversed order of the ranking after 2 events. So we will see first Elżbieta Adomaitytė from Lithuania, then Hungarian Rita Erdős, the Polish Ewa Pydyszewska, the best athlete of the host country so far. Then we've got the Turkish athlete Sidal Aslan, 2 Ukrainians, Anastasia Hyzhova and Irina Kubrak, and the 3 athletes taking the medal position so far: Lea Egloff, Ilka Özüksel, and Karolina Kshenkova, our leader after swimming and fencing. The start of the next rider, Elżbieta Adomaitytė from Lithuania, is planned for 4 p.m. and 8 minutes, which means we still have something about 9 or 8 minutes to go. And we can summary a little bit what we have seen today so far. And that was the swimming event won by Irina Kubrak from Ukraine with the time of 2:12:51, which gave her 285 points. Exactly the same amount of points was won by her teammate Anastasia Hyzhova, 1 year older Ukrainian, who is finishing her junior under 22 junior career this year, and she took the second place with 0.3 seconds of loss to Kubrak at the finish line of today's swimming, which was held at the short course of 25 meters in just 4 lanes, as it is here in Drzonków, the so-called small pool, but this is pool that is much easier to use during the winter time, and we are very close to winter. Of course it's still autumn, but it's becoming quite cold these days here in Poland. The third place in the swimming event was taken by Ilka Özüksel, the Turkish athlete who seems to be the favorite for today's competition. She's doing really well so far, taking the second place overall with just 1 point of loss to Kshenkova, and of course we know, at least those who are know very well the modern pentathlon, and for those who are new to our beautiful sport invented by Pierre de Coubertin himself, the creator of the modern Olympic Games. Ilka Özüksel is one of the best running athletes in the world. In fact, according to the statistics, she is the best, as she holds the current world record in the laser run, which she achieved during the last year's European Championships in Bath, which was also the Olympic qualification for the Tokyo 2020 Games. That's, of course, we know that the games are postponed to the 2021. And Ilka Özüksel is not only the senior world record holder, but she's also the Youth A world record holder in that event of laser run, and this goes back in time until 2015 Youth A Championships won by Özüksel, thanks to her wonderful laser run abilities. The other athlete whom we're supposed to see with a great result today in that final event will be Anna Yurt. Although, as we know from the results, she is quite far in the classification. So far, only 2 athletes who didn't start in the riding event, which are Patricia Gudlevičiūtė and Lara Abi. They are behind Anna Yurt, the youth Olympian from Buenos Aires, and Medea Ginitite, who of course had struggled on the final 2 jumps, especially on the last jump, which succeeded to the fall after the 9th obstacle with 222 points. Ginitite is now the weakest rider, but she's a very young athlete, just born in 2003, making her the 2nd youngest athlete in today's field, just ahead of Gudlevičiūtė. We're still waiting. We have some 5 minutes to the start of Elżbieta Adomaitė, another Lithuanian, the most experienced one of those who we see today, and she's not only the Youth A athlete, so still she's the Youth A athlete, born in 2002. She was also participating at the Youth Olympic Games in Buenos Aires, as well as Anna Yurt. And Adomaitė is not only the best youth athlete of Lithuania and the best junior athlete of Lithuania these times, but she also won the bronze medal of senior Lithuanian championships behind very well-known athletes Gintarė Venskauskaitė and Ieva Serapinaitė, the Rio 2016 Olympian. But we might see that Adomaitė, who finished 4th in the last year's individual event, won by her teammate Aurelia Tamasauskaitė, who is also a great laser runner. She made great results here year by year during the junior under-24 junior European championships held for the 4th time this year in Drzonków, as the competition was initiated by the Polish Pentathlon Association, as that is the way for the young athletes coming slowly coming to the senior career, struggling during that transition from being junior to senior and having to compete against sometimes much older rivals. That is for them the possibility to go through that period of transition more fluently, and we saw quite a few athletes succeeding in winning the medals during that competition of under-24 European Championships, including, for example, Łukasz Gutkowski, the best junior of the Senior European Championships, 6th place at the Senior Europeans held in Bath in 2019, gave him the Olympic quota, so far the only Olympic quota for pentathlon for Poland for Tokyo 2020, but of course that's the nation which usually gets enough of qualification to start at the Olympics. And now we can see on the parkour the grey horse, the grey gelding of Haris, and on his back we've got Elżbieta Adomaitė from Lithuania, the best of Lithuanians so far, and most probably the best also afterwards, as we know that Gudlevičiūtė did not start and Ginitite made the weakest result so far. As we see, the parkour doesn't make a big problems. We've had those knockdowns mostly on this obstacle, and we've got another one here. There were theories that obstacle is problematic because of its colors. They are quite light, not a big contrast between those purple stripes and the white rail, as well as light is, but as light is really well here in the indoor riding hall, In the Drzonków, that theory seems to have fallen down, as we see that most of the knockdowns on that obstacle are caused by the problems with the preparation of a good line ahead of the jump. That was also such a case. Maybe the line was correct, but it was jumped too late. She came too close to that obstacle, which led to the second knockdown. And with the clearing of number 10 just before the finish line, with a minute and 3 seconds, no time penalties, but 14 penalties points for 2 obstacles, 7 points for each, means 286. And Adomaitita falls down in the classification, 4 points behind Irina Wojcieniuk with that 286 point result of Elżbieta Adomaitita. And in a while we will see the sole Hungarian survivor of the national team. The team was to be a little bit wider, but the decision was to decrease the number of athletes by the Hungarian team, and we've got only one female starting from that nation, very well known in the modern pentathlon, very awarded. This is Rita Erdős on horse Barbossa. Rita Erdős is the current European champion, which makes her, of course, one of the favorites of today's competition. But we need to remember that the Youth A in modern pentathlon means, in fact, modern tetrathlon, and we can see that little of experience on the horse riding, but she knows what mistake has she done, and she will probably correct her position in the saddle. But we can see that we have the first knockdown of Rita Erdős on that obstacle number 1, which hasn't caused so far so many problems. It's very rare that the first obstacle is making problems. You can see now the 5th jump quite well rescued by Erdős and Barbossa, and no problems on that double obstacle number 6. Quite an easy one on the number 7th oxer, that green oxer in the middle of the parcours. Number 8 with a very good line. No need to correct it before the obstacle number 9. Of course, the 10th jump and the 11th jump on the obstacle number 10. As we saw, we have the double obstacle number 6 within the time limit of so with 1 minute 7 seconds. 1 knockdown, 7 penalty points, and Rita Erdős with 773 points is leading the field ahead. Now we can see that was quite a big luck that there wasn't any fall of the horse by Erdős, and that there was no injury of the horse riding. 773 points, as I said, for Rita Erdős, which is 5 points ahead of Irina Wojcieniuk and 9 points ahead of Elżbieta Adomaitita, which makes it quite a tight field for the laser run we will see in a while, just in somewhere about 1.5, maybe 2 hours before the start of that concluding event of laser run. And the next athletes who are supposed to see on the parkour is the best pole so far, Ewa Petuszewska. She will be riding horse Fala. She had her teammate Wiktoria Wierzba was riding in the first round, so surely there was some time to exchange the experiences between the girls. Two good friends, as most of the athletes here are good friends. There's a very small community of modern pentathlon, not a very well-known discipline, which requires a bigger popularization, as it is really hard and really impressing for those who are maybe new to the pentathlon to do such as different disciplines like fencing, swimming, riding, shooting and running within just one day of the competition, during the whole day, of course. We are waiting still for Ewa Petuszewska, who came to that starting list in the last moment. She was entered to the competition as the reserve, and she is fulfilling her role, substituting her clubmate Agnieszka Wysokińska, whom you might know as the youth Olympian from Buenos Aires, as well as this year's senior national championships bronze medalist individually for her first medal in the senior competition for Wysokińska. But now we've got Ewa Petuszewska also representing the local club here in Drzonków, so knowing the facilities, knowing the horses probably also quite well, although I'm not really sure if Fala... yes, I think Fala is the horse, which is from here, from Drzonków. Also, of course, the horses are oftenly coming from other stables in Poland for the Modern Pentathlon competition, but the Fala is the local horse for the local athlete, Ewa Petuszewska, so far the best of the Polish athletes, of the host country's athletes in today's competition, taking 7th place after swimming and fencing, and we will see how will she do during the horse riding event. There's an obstacle on that second obstacle, but of course one one knockdown today is not a big problem for the athletes. That happens quite often. So with one knockdown, you can really be quite high in today's classification. And we can see now that she's coming very fast with the Fala. She's feeling too sure, and she has problems on that double obstacle, making 2 knockdowns on number 6 on both A and B parts. So as we can see that that is exactly the matter of experience. She's the youngest athlete of the Polish team here in Drzonków during this year's Under-24 European Championships. She's still Youth A athlete. She will finish 18 years in December, in just a month. But now with three knockdowns, 279 riding points, which makes her fall down behind Adomaitita with 761 points, 4th place so far. And well, that will be very hard for her to get to the medal position. But we will see how the top 6 after swimming and fencing will do on a parkour. And while we will see the younger of the Turkish athletes, the 2 athletes from Turkey came to the women's event, and the younger one is Sidal Aslan, going into the steps of Ilke Özüksel. As I said, Özüksel is the most titled athlete from today's field, and she's of course the base of the Modern Pentathlon system in Turkey. And Sidal Aslan is riding a very easy horse, as we said, the easiest horse maybe on the field of these championships. Arab Alvaro, very experienced 18-year-old stallion, according to what we've got on the horse list. As I said, the horse was ridden before by Daria Niedziałkowska, and we saw that she had only 1 knockdown. And we will see how Sidal Aslan will do on that horse, riding on the left part of the obstacle, also having a knockdown on that oxer number 2. And we saw that she was preparing that line from the left side, where there is a little bit of contrast between the stripes and the rail. So the theory that the color of the obstacle is the main reason for it being problematic seems to really have fallen down, as well as the rails on the 4th obstacle, which is of course rebuilt, and that is the only obstacle that needs to be rebuilt quickly on today's parkour, as this is jumped twice, also for the final 10th obstacle. And right now we can see Sila Aslan with 2 knockdowns so far, preparing to jump number 8 obstacle. Now she needs to correct the line to the obstacle number 9, to that blue oxer. And once more she will have to deal with that another blue oxer. She had that problems during the first attempt, but now the second one with a clearance, which means we will see. Now we can see that knockdown from the obstacle number 4 with 285 points. So we've got the first time penalty today, except for the Medea Ginetite, with 285 points and total points of 772. Sidal Aslan is 1 point behind Rita Erdős, so those 2 knockdowns were enough to keep the point result of Erdős, but that one time penalty means she has fallen down behind her, not only due to the riding result, but as the overall result is 1 point smaller, so there is no tie on the points, no need to make any tie breaks. You can see now Aslan going off the parkour, and we are now waiting for the top 5, which will be started by the most experienced Ukrainian today in today's field, Anastasia Chyzhova from Ukraine, who will be riding horse Lilienthal, so that 7-year-old gelding we said is the youngest one on the field. And we've got her on the parkour with a salute to the judges, as is, of course, as well as we saw the savoir-vivre of fencing salute before and after the bout. There is also the savoir-vivre of horse riding kept at the modern pentathlon competitions, and the salute of horse riding, as well as the dress code is clearly held, is penalized for the lack of that savoir-vivre is penalized with the penalty points. So there is really a respect to the tradition of both fencing and horse riding, very well known military disciplines. That's why also the modern pentathlon is, of course, based on military traditions, and the respect of that legacy is respected here in the modern pentathlon. Also in our times we saw 2 refusals on the obstacle number 4, and the third refusal on the first part of that double obstacle, which means the next refusal will be elimination. She manages to jump both parts of the danger, but struggling and not succeeding to jump that final obstacle. Anastasia Chyzhova finishes with the elimination as the only athlete, as the other athletes whom we saw with the 0 for the riding, we haven't seen them, as in fact, as they did not start. So Chyzhova is so far the sole elimination. I just noticed that Lilienthal was also ridden by Medea Ginetite, so the athlete we saw struggling quite a lot on that final obstacles, with 222 points in the end. So, well, maybe that's quite probable that tomorrow we will not see Lilienthal in the men's individual competition, as he seems to be, in fact he is the worst resulting horse in today's event. Well, quite a bad luck, but it's also a matter of luck sometimes in a sport, and also in modern pentathlon. But there is still another Ukrainian, Irina Kubrak, on the horse Vulcan. The horse was ridden earlier by Katerina Borczukova, so another Ukrainian. So that's also, as in the case of Piedyszewska and Wierzba, for Falla there's a place for exchange of opinions about the horse between the athletes, because it's not only the individual competition of the women under 24 years old competing at today's European Championships, but it's also a matter of the team classification. We've got 5 teams here in Drzonków. Of course, the Switzerland and Lithuania are without a chance to have the results, as their athletes have 0 for that. But the Ukraine has 1 elimination, and the result of Chyżowa will probably not count for the team classification. But of course, we now know I think we can now say that the medalists, if nothing worse happens on the laser run, we don't wish any bad luck, any problems, eliminations on the laser run to any team. But it seems we've got Czech Republic, Poland and Ukraine preparing to celebrate the team medals today. We can see now the repeat of the knockdowns made by Irina Kubrak. The two knockdowns on 5 and 6, 14 obstacle penalties points, 286 points in total for riding, which gives her 799 points, but that's quite a big advantage ahead of the riding event after swimming and fencing. Swimming won by Kubrak, which gives her the lead ahead of Rita Erdush, now placed second with 3 athletes to go. And the first of that top 3 athletes after swimming and fencing, and in fact the top 3 fencing athletes is the Swiss Lea Egloff, riding horse Vulcan. Vulcan, who had one of the 300s today, the one by Anna Rubiczkova. And we see that Lea Egloff is going not on clear right. We've got the second obstacle knockdown. So there's of course the second obstacle number 2, which is the first knockdown for Egloff. Of course, her supporters, her teammates, her coach surely hope that it was the only knockdown for Egloff. That was quite a close for the number 5, but she manages to recover, and now the double obstacle with the knockdown on the second part. So we've got 2 knockdowns for Egloff. We had just 2 points of advantage over Kubrak, and with that she is now tied with that result of 2 points ahead of Kubrak, as the Ukrainian also had 2 knockdowns a while ago. So that would give her the lead, unless there is any time penalties, but with 1 minute 11 seconds that is not the case. So 286 points for Lea Egloff gives her the lead so far, with 2 points ahead of Irina Kubrak, which I think we'll see in a while on the screen as the confirmation of the result of the Swiss athlete. And we are coming to the 2 best athletes in a while. We can see now Egloff with 2 points ahead of Kubrak. So right now we can see that we are preparing the Ilka Özüksel coming to the parkour on the horse Maximus, the horse very well known in the Drzonków competition. We saw him ridden by Michalina Wierzba, who had only 1 knockdown on Maximus, with Ilka Özüksel having only 1 point of loss to Kshenkova after the two events of swimming and fencing. And we can see her starting the parkour with the first obstacle cleared, and that's also the case for the second obstacle. We saw the most knockdowns there, but some athletes managed to clear that white and purple oxor. So, well, that's really the case of the riding abilities of athletes, not really the matter of the specific, but correct regular obstacle. But we've got the first knockdown by Związek on that oxor number 7, on that green oxor. We may not see it very well on our screens. There's another knockdown on the 9th obstacle, and the final obstacle cleared. So we've got only 2 knockdowns by Ilke Özüksel, having 6 points of advantage over Leah Egloff, as it was also the case before their riding. They both had 286, and we've got Özüksel, Egloff, and Kubrak within 8 seconds, which is 8 points. In fact, 8 seconds of the handicapped start. But now we have 1 rider left. This will be the leader of the competition after swimming and fencing, Karolina Kshenkova from Czech Republic. She'll be riding the horse Kakan, having 300 points of Irina Bojceniuk. So we're still waiting for Kshenkova coming to the parkour. She had just 1 point of advantage over Özüksel, so that's a matter of everything. With 2 knockdowns of Özüksel, she comes to the parkour, starting with that maximum amount of points of 300. That gives her 15 seconds of advantage so far, but we will see how will it end as she jumps the obstacle number 10 and crosses the finish line within or not within the time limit of 1 minute 19 seconds, and we will see with how many, or maybe with no penalty points for the obstacle jumps. First 3 obstacles jumped without any problems, as well as the 4th one, which is a good sign for the number 10, but of course we saw the athletes doing very well on number 4 and having problems on number 10, which is the same obstacle, but jumped twice. And we saw also the other way, those who had problems before doing easy on the final jump. No knockdowns so far, and there are just 3 jumps left, and now only 2 jumps, but we saw that athletes had problems with them. Not a problem for Kshenkova on number 9, and now the final jump of today's riding event. With 1 minute of 2 seconds within the time limit means second 300 result of horse Kakan, so really good luck for very well luck for Kshenkova and Bojceniuk with drawing this horse, especially for Kshenkova, who has drawn that horse as the leader, and she will come to the combined event points with 15 seconds of advantage over Ilke Özüksel, which might not be enough. In fact, as we said, Özüksel is an outstanding laser runner, the best one in the field and also in the world. Let's say it's as the world record holder for both senior and youth A categories, and the 3rd place held by Leah Egloff with with 6 points of loss to Özüksel, which means 21 points of loss to Kshenkova, and just 2 points more of loss by Irina Kubrak from Ukraine. And among these 4 athletes we will probably see the medalist. After the laser run event, which starts at 6 p.m. With the change of schedule, for those of you who might have seen the LR schedule, there was only one series of laser run today with 20 shooting stands and 1 reserve, according to the rules. So there is so we will see only 1 heat starting at 6 p.m. and I invite you warmly for that event, and thank you for the attention so far, and see you soon.